friends, and welcome to the channel. I'm Olivia, and if you've never seen my face before, you can consider me your fragrance-obsessed internet bestie, here to give you the download on all things fragrance. So I did a poll over on Instagram asking you guys what kind of fragrance notes specifically did you want to see a video on, and one thing that came up over and over and over was peach. So that's what we're up to today. We're going to be talking about all things peach fragrances. And I had a look through my collection, and it looks like I have a ton of peach fragrances in my collection to share with you guys today. But all of them have varying degrees of how much peach is prominent in the fragrance. Some of them, it is the main character, and for some, it is kind of a sidekick. But I think they're all worthy of being in this video today, and I have some super exciting news to share with you guys. For the first time ever in my career as a perfume reviewer, I have been asked to attend as a guest to my very first perfume expo. This is happening in New York City, December 1st and 2nd, and it is open to the public. You'll be able to try out a bunch of different scents from niche brands from all over the world. You'll be able to meet perfumers behind the fragrances that you love so much. They're going to have master classes, they're going to have workshops, an award ceremony, and there's going to be an after party, so I would love to get a drink with you. If you guys are interested in going, I'm going to leave all of the information in my box down below. So without further ado, let's get started. We're going to start with some very affordable fragrances from the house of Pacifica. And it looks like they actually have two different peach fragrances. So I know you guys have probably heard me talk about these before, but we have Flower Moon and Sunrise Moon. Now, if you want a true crystalline candied peach, you're going to go with Sunrise Moon. It's sweet, it's juicy, it's sugary, and it's a little bit artificial. But if you want a peach that's going to be a little bit more of a background player, with Jasmine being the front man of this band, you would go with Flower Moon. To me, this one smells a little bit more natural, so if you are going for something a little bit more playful, youthful, fun, and sweet, I would go with this one. And if you like something a little more delicate, flowery, I would go with this one. These are super affordable, and you can find these at Target for around $20. So the next two I'm going to talk about in combination because I have a brand new product here. So before, I have talked about Peach Fields by Skylar. And this is going to be perfect for those of you who like a peach that isn't super sweet or tart. It's a little bit more of an underripe peach. You also have a beautiful floral in here, which is osmanthus. And I love osmanthus because it's sweet and it's not quite as sharp as jasmine. I find it to be a little bit more buttery, and it is just a silky smooth floral that if you're not a floral lover, you will most likely like this more than white florals. So this is going to be your springtime, slightly green peach. And they just came out with body mists, and these smell nearly identical. But if a new full-size perfume is not in your budget, understandable, they have these body mists. Now, I will say, specifically the peach one. I tried this out. I made a little dent in her already. It doesn't last very long. It does not last very long, but I'm happy to report that I have two other of the Skylar body mists. I have the coconut and the vanilla, and those lasted much longer. I think that this is quite a light scent profile, so if you just wanted something to either put in your hair or refresh after the gym, I think this would be a cute grab, and they're affordable. Next on my list is a newer addition to my collection, and this is Flower Bomb Ruby Orchid. I can definitely see how this compares to the original, but I prefer this one a lot more because if you were to imagine a younger, fresher version of the original with the additional note of peach, giving it some juiciness and taking away that really strong patchouli in the original, that can be a little bit thick and heavy and better for winter and fall, this one is going to be really good for spring, summer, or really all year round because this does have a vine note, so it gives a little bit of greenness, but this has that beautiful vanilla and orchid. This would be something that I would reach for on a date night where I'm feeling a little bit girly, not fussy, and that's the thing I like about designer fragrances. Yes, are they a little bit basic? Sure, but is that always a bad thing? Sometimes you just want to smell good and you don't want to have to think about it too hard. So if you don't want to think about it too hard, this one would be a good option. Although this is not technically peach, this is apricot, I am going to include it because I feel like apricot is very, very similar to peach. Perhaps not as as sweet and not as tangy, but in fragrances, they can read very similar. So just so you know, some of these fragrances are also going to be apricot. And the one I have here is Apricot Privé by Fleur. Now, I love this fragrance. I think it is very unique because to me, this has a bit of spice to it. So it almost smells like a spiced peach cobbler. Imagine in the holidays where you make a peach pie and you have a side of ice cream, that warm feeling. That's what I get from this. There's a creaminess, there's a spiciness, and there's that undeniable fruitiness, but not fruity as in tangy, almost like a baked or stewed apricot or peach. I'm just going to go ahead and get my apricot fragrances out of the way. So this next one is also an apricot fragrance. This is from the brand Fragrance One, and this is called Day for Women. You guys might have seen Jeremy Fragrance on social media. He is a perfume reviewer, and he's quite an eclectic person. And he came out with his own fragrances, and this is an apricot fragrance. And I think because people feel some sort of way about him, maybe they don't care for him, they go and they review the fragrances poorly on Fragrantica and online, but the reality is this is a beautiful, masterful blend of a fragrance. It's quite simple in structure. You have apricot, osmanthus once again, and you have benzoin, and the benzoin in here makes this so warm, so cozy. It almost feels like a caramelized apricot. Once again, giving that stewed quality, but it has a sugariness, a warmth, a vanilla that is so intoxicating, and this is very, very long lasting with a beautiful projection. It smells very high quality, so although some of the reviews are tainted online, I'm here to tell you, unbiased opinion, that this is a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. And I know it's compared to Juicy Couture's Gold Couture very frequently. It smells similar, yes, but it feels scratchy and cheap, whereas this smells much more high quality and long lasting. And for the price it should be, because they do boast a pretty hefty price tag, but I don't mind because I think that this is a fragrance that you could wear all year long, day or night. Next is by the brand Deck of Scarlet, and this is called Not Your Girl. And I just have to say that I think Deck of Scarlet is a criminally underrated house because their fragrances are so likable, they're long lasting, and their packaging is just so incredibly thick and heavy and luxurious, and they're only $120, so they're very affordable and they just perform very, very well. If I were to say one house is a safe blind buy, I would say that Deck of Scarlet is a safe blind buy because I found every single perfume that I tried from them, and I tried the entire range, very, very enjoyable. So this is going to be a little bit similar to Apricot Privé, but in this, you have some booziness. You have a cardamom. This is a creamy and sweet, spicy and warm peach. This is absolutely phenomenal. And I would say if you are apt to try any fragrances from this video, I would try this one top of your list because this is just so, so underrated. It is delicious, it is creamy, and it is just enveloping. It almost feels like suede when you put it on. Sticking along with those boozy notes, we have one of my favorites, and if you guys are a frequent on this channel, you will already know this fragrance. This is Siren and Sailors by Juicebox. This also has osmanthus, but this has rose as well, along with a whiskey, a rum, a vanilla, and a suede. With notes like suede, musk, and patchouli, which this has a little bit of darkness. The booziness is much more prominent in this than the last one. This will kind of give you the feeling of being at a swanky jazz club and having a peach whiskey cocktail. I don't even know if those exist, but I'm just kind of picturing it in my mind. The suede in here is velvety, velvety smooth. It is not like a car leather. It is not harsh. It is not too animalic. It just gives it that beautifully earthy base to round off the sweetness of the scents. This is one of my top favorite fragrances of all time. I don't think it's going to be for everybody, but it is certainly for me. If I could picture myself as a fragrance, this definitely reflects how I feel, and I think it's just stunning. So if you are a fan of a peach that has a little bit of an edge, a little bit of darkness, let me introduce you to Nishane's 100 Silent Ways X. Now this is the new and improved extrait version of the original, which is a cult classic here on YouTube. A lot of people love that fragrance because it is sweet and feminine, but in my opinion, it's interesting because although it's jasmine and peach, it bears a slight resemblance in the vanilla to black opium. But in contrast, this one is much more my speed. This one has a strong dose of patchouli and leather. So in the beginning, you're getting that beautiful peach. You also still have jasmine, but you have iris that gives a little bit of powderiness. But then in comes the edgy notes of leather and patchouli. And it just makes this a femme fatale, date night, badass woman sort of fragrance. And I love this. But once again, I don't find this would be a safe blind buy just because of the strength of the base notes. They definitely are prominent in the beginning and they stay throughout the duration of the fragrance. And by that time, that peach has faded out and you're left with some darker, rich base notes. Next is going to be one of those fragrances that does have peach, but it is more of a supporting character. So this is Petite Chérie from Goutal, and this also has the note of pear. So imagine the freshness of pear, a little bit more dewy, a little bit more green and juicy. You get more of the tartness from the peach. So you might pick up on the pear in the beginning much more than the peach. But as this wears on the skin, you do get the sweetness from the peach along with a beautiful lilac. This has a note of grass, so it has a little bit of greenness. It feels dewy, it doesn't feel dirty by any means. This smells like springtime. It's very bright and fresh and happy, borderline aquatic, but it is a soft floral with some delicate sweetness that smells natural. If you want something that doesn't smell candied, you like more of a soft, fresh, green floral with some nuances of a fresh fruit, that's what you're going to get from this. Now, if you want a peach fragrance that has a load of citrus in the beginning, let me tell you about Valea by Parfums de Marly. Now, this is one of my most complimented fragrance of all of my collection of over 300 perfumes, and it's well deserved. This is a beautiful fragrance that has the note of white peach. But in the beginning, you're going to get a strong blast of citrus. There is a bit of floralness coming from some orange blossom, but in the dry down, you're getting this really intoxicating combination of musk and vanilla. So this is very much a clean girl type scent. It's very elegant, it smells sparkling, and I could imagine this on a bride or for a landmark birthday, like 30th, 40th birthday. This is just a stunning, crisp, clean scent with the beautiful, elegant peach. Now, if Valea is a little bit out of your budget because it is quite expensive, let me introduce you to Love High by Confessions of a Rebel. And once again, I think this house is incredibly underrated. I don't really hear anybody talking about these fragrances, and this is so delicious. This kind of reminds me, slightly reminiscent of Light Blue by Dolce & Gabbana, but less masculine. So this is going to be a little bit more unisex than Valea, which leans on the very, very feminine side. But you're still getting that fresh, tart, citrusy beginning. But this also has the note of apple. So you're getting this juiciness, this tartness, this sweetness, along with some delicate florals and a little bit of a musky dry down. So if Valea was too expensive, it's an alternative, not a dupe whatsoever, but if you like one, you'll like the other. Now for another multifaceted peach, this is Xerjoff La Capitale, and I'm sure you guys have heard all about this fragrance. This fragrance does quite a 180. So in the beginning, you get a juicy strawberry and peach, but then as it dries down, it has this beautiful caramel, but then in comes a little bit of leatheriness. But unlike Nichane 100 Silent Ways X, where it is a little bit more robust green and a little bit strong on the leather, this has a leather, but it goes more in a smoked wood sort of direction as opposed to a dark, more masculine scent. Now, I'm not saying that Nichane 100 Silent Ways is masculine by any means. It's perfectly unisex, but this one is a little bit softer. It has that darkness, it has the complexity, it has that beautiful caramel vanilla, but this changes on the skin. In the beginning, you think you understand that it's a fruity fragrance, but as it dries down, it starts to get very moody, very rich, and it's so sophisticated. but I wouldn't say that this is a perfect blind buy because it is quite complex. So if you can get your hands on a sample, I would definitely try it out first, but I don't think you'll be disappointed because this is absolutely signature scent worthy. If you want a peach that dries down to a fresh yet dry woodiness, I would like you to try this. This is Wild from the maker. So along with peach in the beginning, you're getting a yuzu. That's giving a sweet tanginess to give it some structure. This has a beautiful light water lily along with jasmine and tuberose. So jasmine and tuberose on their own can be a little bit thicker, butterier, creamier, and sometimes a little bit more sharp. But with the addition of water lily, this uplifts it and gives it a little bit more of a fresh, aquatic sort of floral. But then on the dry down, you are getting a very soft sandalwood that adds a little bit of woodiness, but sometimes sandalwood can go either pickly or milky. That's bizarre to say, but this is somewhere in the middle. But the real shining star of this is the cedarwood. Cedarwood comes off as very, very dry to me, a little bit more masculine. So this has a freshness, a beautiful woodiness, and that peach is just like the cherry on top. Now, if you like things like Delina by Parfums de Marly, and you also like Nishane 100 Silent Ways, I think you would really enjoy this one. This is by Navitus, and this is called Ediola. So this has peach and citrus in the beginning, but you also have a combination of a pink, dewy, soft rose that doesn't feel vintage and a buttery smooth jasmine. This is very dainty, this is very girly, and it definitely reminds me of a distant cousin of Delina by Parfums de Marly. The quality of Navitus fragrances is really, really unmatched. Their bottles are heavy, they're very long lasting, they're perfectly blended where one note doesn't jump out more than the other. It's just a perfectly even playing field, and I think that they're very masterfully blended. So if you ever wanted to dip your toes in the water of Navitus and you didn't know where to go, if you like feminine, fresh, sweet floral fragrances, this would be a good one to start with. And the last two are not peach, but they're nectarine, so both in the stone fruit family, and they both happen to be from the house of Kayali. So first we're going to start off with Deja Vu White Floral. And as the name would suggest, this is a white floral dominant fragrance. So you're going to have to really like that classic floral scent profile. The nectarine helps to sweeten out those fragrances so that way they don't become too thick and cloying and too vintage, but definitely this is for a floral lover. There is a little bit of that signature vanilla DNA in the base that gives it just a little bit of creamy sweetness, but on the whole, this is a floral dominant fragrance. I think it's very beautiful, and I think once again, Kayali is a safe blind buy house. I find them very enjoyable, and I am a big fan of the Kayali fragrances. This one, haven't really gotten a dent in it, but because I have both a travel size and a roller ball of this that I'm trying to work through before I get onto my big bottle. And lastly, still from the house of Kayali, is from the new wedding collection, and this one is called Silk Santal, and spoiler alert, this is an incredible fragrance. And you know what? I feel like I need to text Mona and tell her that she needs to make this a permanent in the collection because this is one of the most beautiful fragrances that they ever came out with. So in the beginning, I was very much reminded of Vanilla by Kayali. Everyone knows that fragrance, but that takes it into more of a boozy, brown sugar, almost slightly woody characteristic. The vanilla in this is sheer, and it has that beautiful nectarine, but it also has champagne, but it gives it this beautiful, fizzy, sparkling quality in the beginning. And this is very sweet because you have the note of praline along with the note of sugar and that signature vanilla. This has a milky sandalwood, as I talked about earlier, in the base, along with a beautiful clean musk. So on the opening, this is sparkling and juicy and sweet, but as it dries down, you get some more gourmand decadent notes, along with a bit of woodiness and muskiness in the base. It is an absolute 10 out of 10. And speaking of, I want to do a video of fragrances in my collection that I think are 10 out of 10. So if you're interested in seeing that, let me know. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. I am exhausted because I had a little bit of a mishap, and I know that this has happened before, but it happened again. I recorded 8 videos, including this video yesterday. And when I plugged it into my computer, I lost 3 hours of footage because none of them had audio. So it's now 10:42 p.m. and I am incredibly exhausted. I've been working all day to try to get back the work that I put in yesterday. And I hope you guys can forgive me for being a little low energy today. I really want to make sure that I get these videos out every week, but sometimes we just have little hiccups like that. And I just have to look at it as yesterday was the dress rehearsal, and now it's going to be even better because I have all of the information already in my mind. And if you guys aren't already subscribed, I post videos every Saturday, 10 a.m. PST. And I know that on YouTube, if you watch a video from a creator, they will continue to pop up on your home screen, even if you're not subscribed to them. And I've noticed that a lot of people that watch my videos are not subscribed, but that definitely helps this channel, helps me get to new people, to get to new brands, and just overall keep this page going. So if you enjoy these videos, make sure that you are in fact subscribed, double check if you can, and if you already are, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. I really hope you guys will consider seeing me at SCENTXPLORE. It's going to be such an incredible event. I'm so excited for it. And I forgot to mention that if you are unable to make the trek all the way to New York, because I know that is quite an ask, they are actually going to have it available virtually. So all of the information is going to be in the box down below, and there will be linked to tickets. And one other thing that I wanted to mention is that you guys are able to purchase a discovery kit that's going to be packed with samples from niche houses from all around the world. In case you aren't able to be there with me to smell the fragrances, you can do it from the comfort of your own home, and it ships worldwide. I know a lot of people are like, but Olivia, I'm not in the US. I totally understand, but if you want to get in on the action, you guys can check that one out as well. I will be reminding you guys periodically in my videos leading up to the event, just so that way nobody gets left behind. So until next Saturday, take care of yourselves, my friends.